Yomi is kind of in trouble. I'm going to throw down my ulti on him, which hopefully is going to give him enough time to get out of this one. I'm going to pull this Cthulhu away, so that way he can't be followed up onto, and we're going to be able to save our Suki. Throw down a Hello everybody, we are here with your Khepri support guide. So we're going to be starting off with the Sentinel's Gift, as you always do on support. I'm going to be going into a Gauntlet of Thebes here on Khepri. So I'm going to get my tier 1 glowing emerald, and then I'm going to get a chalice of healing and a shell. Gauntlet of Thebes I only like on the more passive supports. And by that I mean like the more, not even necessarily passive, but like defensive. The Gebs, Khepris of the world, I really do like the Thebes still. Ganesh, anybody like that. I find that you don't need to go a little bit of the more hybrid offensively. You can tend to embrace some of those more defense items that help out your team as well. Plus we got some new items today that are very viable in our support builds that we'll be getting into later. So level 1, we're going to start with our Rising Dawn. This is going to be the ability that we start with here at level 1. It is our main lane clearing ability. It's going to do damage over time to everybody that we hit. And I think a lot of people forget about this ability. Not only is it damage over time to enemies, but it's also a protection debuff. And on top of that, to your friendly characters that you hit, it is also damage mitigation. So this ability applies a lot of damage mitigation to friendlies that get hit by it for 3 seconds. It's up to 30%. So using this on a friendly target is really helpful in the late stages of the game. So preferably you want to throw this ability through allies and enemies at the same time, not necessarily one or the other. At level 2, I am going to get my 1. This is our only movement ability here on Khepri. It is our pluck. We basically pluck somebody and hold them in place, and while we are pulling them, we gain some bonus protections, which is nice because we are a bit of a sitting duck while we're doing this. But we don't have to use it aggressively. We can also use it defensively to get ourselves out of harm's way. And this pull lasts for 1.5 seconds early game, so it's actually quite efficient in the CC department. At level 3, we're going to get our 3. This is going to be our setup ability. It's a long-ranged route, and it's going to help us standardly set up our pull combo. So we don't have to worry about landing the pull most of the time because we'll land the route first. It's easier to land. It's a pretty decent sized circle. And then we'll just follow up with the pluck. Khepri's 2, 3, and 4 can all be used over walls. You can't pluck through walls, but you can throw your 2 through it. You can root over walls if you need to, and you can also ulti friendlies over walls to keep them alive. For our active, we get Shell. No surprise there. But Shell on Khepri is actually even better than it is normally on other characters because of Khepri's passive. Khepri is passively giving out basically a shell around him based off of his maximum HP to friendly targets. So just by being around Khepri, you're going to get a little bit of a shield. So then you can combine that nice shell shield on top of the shield that you're already giving people. And you can see on my HP, like right now, I've got this little bit of bonus HP that Khepri obviously gets around because Khepri is always around himself. As much as he would like to sometimes, he just can't avoid himself. But for somebody like Huyi, if I get too far away from Huyi, this will eventually run off of him. So it's beneficial a lot of the time for the team fight. So I'm actually going to pull the Xingqian right here. And then I'm kind of waiting for his jumps. He's going to jump out of my range. So I'm just going to try to go root the Shibalanke. And he's going to have to dash away as well. Now Shibalanke probably has his beads up, but I'm going to look for a pull if I can get in range. I'm not going to be able to because I know that his dash is down. That's fine. We can still just chill out. So my level order on Khepri is I actually rank up the 2 to max first. The 2 is our main form of wave clear, and it also increases the protection debuff and damage mitigations, which I find to be extremely helpful, both offensively and defensively. I find it to be more helpful than the slight
be careful.
Duration increase in CC that you get from your 1 and your 3. So I actually like to get that first. I'm going to get myself a reinforced shoes here just to make me very tanky. When I go Gauntlet of Thieves, I tend to get the tankier boots because Gauntlet of Thieves takes a while to come online and get stacked and really get going. I find that the reinforced shoes help me get tankier in the early stages of the game, so that I can actually make it through to getting my Thieves online without dying a couple of times. So I am myself a big fan of the Shoes of Focus. I love the extra cooldown and mana on my supports. But if I'm going to go that build, there's a good chance that I'm starting off with like a first item Sovereignty or a Stone of Binding. Just something a little bit cheaper that's going to make you a little bit tankier quicker. But we want the Thieves on the Khepri.
Right tower is under attack.
So if my level order on Khepri, we rank up our 2 to max. My ultimate, I tend to still like to rank up. When you rank up your ulti on Khepri, it's going to increase the amount of HP that people are revived with, which can be very helpful. So I tend to do 4, 2, 1, and then 3 on Khepri. The reason why I rank up the 1 before the 3 usually is because it does increase those protections that you get. So if you're going to use this ability offensively, it's nice to have those extra bonus protections. So I'm going to throw down my ulti here on Janus just to try to get these guys off of him. I'm going to pull the Janus, and this is actually going to be a kind of a little awkward moment. He turns around and goes for the fight, which is fine. But my Khepri ult is going to run off of him because he kind of turned back and went for the action there. The Khepri ult was going to help him get out of that one if he just would have portaled out, but he got a little overconfident with that ultimate on him, and that's going to cost him his life. But we did get the Xing Tian ult. We also got the Janus Beacon ult. So not the worst possible trade, but it definitely could have been a little bit better right there. Another thing on the ultimate for Khepri that you should know is Khepri's ultimate does not stop executes. So executes go through Khepri's ult. So if a Thanatos lands on somebody in Threshold while they have a Khepri ult on them, they will not get rezzed. They will simply be launched into oblivion. Right back to the fountain. With the notable exception being Ao Kuang. The reason why Ao Kuang's doesn't inherently do this is because of the second part of Khepri's ultimate. So Khepri's ultimate is not only a it's not only a res, it's not only going to give you that bonus movement speed, it is also a cleanse. So if I see my Janus getting Xing Tian ultied and I wait until after the ulti starts and then I ulti him, he will be cleansed out of that CC just like if I used a Geb shield. So that aspect of the Khepri ult, a lot of people forget about. A lot of people just use it for the res, and they kind of forget that it does have that cleanse mechanic on it. So if an Ao Kuang ulties, and your ultimate is already on the target, then it is going to go through it and they are going to die. If an Ao Kuang ulties and then you ulti after his ult, you actually cleanse his ultimate, thus stopping it. Because Ao Kuang ulti is actually brought into 2 parts. It is the grab motion and then the execute motion. And so if you use it between the grab and execute, you actually stop the Ao Kuang ulti altogether. Just a little bit of interaction fun tidbit for you. So I can see that my Tsukiyomi is kind of in trouble. I'm going to throw down my ulti on him, which hopefully is going to give him enough time to get out of this one. I'm going to pull this Cthulhu away, so that way he can't be followed up onto, and we're going to be able to save our Suki. Throw down a little root on this Janus, so hopefully he can't get through to him. I'm gonna pull the Xing away from him, and I'm just sitting here trying to peel so hard right now for my Janus, but he's not gonna be able to get out. Looks like he's gonna just be dove completely. So, as the support, if you're gonna be one of the more traditional supports, the Khepris, Ganesh, Gebs of the world, it's basically your job to sit back and try to keep everybody alive. But the reason why the support role can be very frustrating is that sometimes you just can't save people, you know? You can do your best, you can give them mitigations, you can do all the right things, but sometimes you just aren't going to be able to save everybody every single time. Another thing that I see Khepri players do a lot is hold their ultimate. They just hold and they hold and they hold and they hold until somebody is at -1 HP, but then it's too late because they don't have any HP left. Much like on Kali, where you're better off using the ultimate a little bit early, it's the same thing on Khepri. Khepri ultimate is going to last for 5 seconds, plus it gives them extra movement speed. Chances are, even if they don't actually die, that 5 seconds of bonus movement speed is gonna be enough to save their life and get them out of trouble. So you're better off using the Khepri ult a little bit earlier compared to a little bit later. Gonna throw down a 2 for my boy right here. That Cthulhu is quite low. Now my Janus has gotten ultied by Xing 10, so I'm gonna throw down my ulti on him, not for the actual res, but for the cleanse effect. I think Janus might try to go for my Suki. He basically is. I'm gonna throw down a shell, try to keep my Janus alive, and we're just not gonna be able to do it. But I do have my Wukong over here. I'm kind of low on mana. I'm gonna see if Wukong's coming over to me. He is not. Wukong's just gonna go back to farming, so I'm not going to continue that fight. Now I can get my Thieves started, so I want to back as soon as humanly possible, get that Thieves. My Janus is still dead. He's not going to be able to make it here for this wave, so I'm going to clear this wave and try to get as much of the gold value as I can, trying not to lose too much gold to that tower. Now we can start our Gauntlet of Thieves, and I'm actually going to go directly into another health and HP item here while I put a point into my 1, and that is going to be a new item in the game, Mail of Renewal. So Mail of Renewal has recently been reworked.
Enemies in left lane.
And now, in my opinion, is one of the best support items in the game. So stat-wise, great stats. Health, HP 5, physical protections, magical protections. All good stats, pretty much encompassing everything you could possibly need. But what it's also going to do is it's also going to give you some additional physical and magical protections when you are getting autoed. So every second that you get hit for up to the next 5 seconds, you're going to gain an additional 4 protections. So upwards of another 20 protections. And then if you get autoed again after that, you're actually going to get a 15% HP heal on yourself. Not to mention, it is going to do that heal AoE for your team just over a longer period of time. So for yourself, the heal is going to be instant. For your team, the heal is going to be over time. So I'm going to throw down my ulti back there onto my Janus because I can see that their Janus has come through looking for him. I get it off at the exact last second, so he does get rezzed while he still dies afterwards because they continue to aggress on him. Because he got resurrected and they had to come back in for him again, we actually turned what would have been a 0-1 trade right there into a 2-for-1 in our favor. So this Mail of Renewal is basically like a meditation, but on an item. It is really good. Nick can proc every 60 seconds. I'm loving it on all of my supports right now because it just gives you kind of everything you need. Its baseline stats are fantastic, but it also gives your team that potential sustain over 20 seconds, which makes it really nice for things like shoving towers and whatnot, especially if you don't have a different form of sustain on your team.
Another patriot has fallen. Your team
Don't necessarily recommend doubling down and being like, ooh, I've got one meditation, I'm going to grab another meditation. I don't necessarily recommend doing that. You know, being like, all right, if I got a meditation on my item and I've got a meditation on my active, now I've got 2 times the meditation. I think you can probably call it good with just the Mail of Renewal on that 1 times kind of meditation effect. So I wouldn't necessarily embrace that second active meditation. Because this game, we've got a shell, which is going to be great for against their Shibalanke and stuff. And we're also probably going to look ourselves into a heavenly agility for the team. I find that Khepri does not really need Blink. I find Blink to be a bit overkill. A lot of supports do end up needing the Blink for their initiation because they've got no way to start off a fight without it. But Khepri has his root, which is a really nice long-ranged initiation. So you can typically start off with the root, force some beads, and then just follow up with your 1, and that's fine.
enemy has been slain.
So for the most part, I tend not to get the blink on the Khepri, because I can just follow up with the root right here. And then if I want to keep this fight going, I can just continue with my pluck. So I'm going to plug the Xing 10 right here, throw down the 2. That's going to give him some reduced mitigations right now. Keeping an eye on all my teammates. Unfortunately, the Janus ulti comes through and is going to one-shot my Huyi, so no opportunity to res him right there. Janus is coming around the back. Oh my goodness. And he is absolutely lighting my team up. And there's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that one. Holy Janus, Batman. So right there, you saw the Huyi go from about half HP to 0 HP. He instantly died because he got Janus ulted through space, time, and his own brain. So we did get to keep the Suki alive with the ulti, but nobody else right there because that Janus is a swingin'. I'm going to throw down a regular ward over here on the Scorpion just to make sure that we have some vision on the objective. And then I'm going to go back and try to hold this mid lane as best as I can. Because otherwise they were going to take this tower. Now my Janus should be able to make it back
On my way.
for this wave in time. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold it. And honestly, I could also use a couple of Thebe stacks. So he's already behind. I don't really want to take any XP from him. I'm not behind any XP. I am even right now with my boy. Me and that Xing 10 are even in XP. So I'm going to let him make it all the way back and grab this. Now I need to back it up. I'm going to finish that Mail of Renewal. After my Mail of Renewal, my next big task is going to be to get my shell ranked up, possibly rank up my heavenly agility as well for my Huyi. But I'm way less concerned about ranking up the heavenly agility than I am the shell because those block stacks are crucial.
An ally has been slain.
Kakalin is over in the mid lane, so I'm going to see if I can't force his jump right now. I do force the jump with my 3. Now that his jump is down, I'm just going to hold down the W key at him. I got a shell for my Janus. I'm going to ulti for my Janus, doing everything that I can, just trying to keep him alive. Now I'm going to wait for him to dash. If he does, nope, doesn't look like he's going to dash, so I don't got to worry about it. I'm going to heavenly agility for my Janus so he can try to run away while rooting this Janus and forcing his beads on the other side. He actually uses his blink to go for the juke there, but he portals himself right into our Suki, which hopefully means that our Suki should be able to grab that kill. Fantastic. Try to root the Xing 10, but I imagine he's going to try to jump out of this one. Our Suki's going to need to back up anyway. And I need to chill. So the one thing that you have to be careful about with this starting build is your mana consumption. So right now I am stupidly tanky for at this point in the game on support. Thebes, tanky boots with Mail of Renewal. My HP ridiculously high. My protection's basically already halfway up. So if you run this build on any support, tankiness is not going to be your issue. The one thing that it doesn't really have is cooldown in mana, which isn't the end of the world. We're going to get our cooldown here in just a second. And I personally have not been having any mana consumption issues with the build, but I could definitely see people having mana issues with this build. So just keep that in mind when you're running it. You might run into a mana consumption problem.
Gank left lane.
For Khepri, on our matchups, the most obvious things that we don't want to go against is going to be Execute, because Execute will go through our Khepri ult, even the Quang if we don't time it right. Traditionally, those are the characters that we want to stick away from on Khepri. The Quanger Bangers, the Thanatoses, all those boys, because nothing feels worse than trying to peel for your teammate, throwing down a sick ultimate, and then watching them as they die anyway. That's the worst. So I throw down my ulti on my Janus, trying to keep him alive. He's going to come all the way back to me, unfortunately, who's just getting thrown around through the whirlpool by the Xing Tian. So he's actually going to be thrown back kind of into a horrible spot right there. We tried to keep him alive, but poor man's getting dove out of his brains right now. So if they continue to dive this, I'm actually going to look for the pluck there onto the Cucullin. I did not land it, but I've still got my root up, which is going to allow us to root him inside of the Puyi ultimate. Now I want to back, so I don't have anything up, but my team is still here, so I'm actually going to give them a Heavenly Agility. I know that the Xing Tian does not have his ultimate up. And between the Heavenly Agility on my team, we should be able to actually run over to the Gold Fury. So as much as I want to back and get my mana and get some more items, I'm actually going to stick around because I can tank this Gold Fury for my team. Shibalanke is over left. The only thing we really have to be worried about is a potential Janus steal here, but we do have it warded. So that does lower the chances at least. Gonna put that mitigation on my boys. He's gonna come right on through. I'm rooting on that Janus portal. Janus ult goes down. We get the Shibalanke beads, the Shibalanke Aegis, and we're going to get the kill. And now we're going to go ahead and back it up.
Retreat.
So Stone of Foul is another item right now that you can buy. I'm not going to get it this game. On the Khepri, I think that is going to be a little bit of overkill. Looking at their composition, they have got triple magicals, double physical right now, so magical defense needs to be a little bit on my mind. So I'm going to get myself into a Pridvin. Pridvin's going to give me a nice 20% CDR, plus because I've got so many protections right now from my Thebes, from my reinforced shoes, from when I get my Mail of Renewal stacked, I'm going to get a massive shield value out of that Pridvin, on top of my passive shield that I'm getting, on top of my shell shield that I'm getting, and I'm basically just gonna have bonus HP on top of bonus HP on top of bonus HP. And it's also going to fix some of our CDR problem. Now my Huyi is pretty aggressive over there in left lane by the purple buff. I'm going to start rotating. I'm going to try to get to him. There's actually a Janus ult coming through that was actually pretty decently placed to try to help him out, but he's a little bit too far forward over there without any wards. Gonna go ahead and pluck the Cucullin, but he is actually going to Anchile proc me immediately out of that. My Suki is low, so I'm going to throw him down that ultimate, keep him alive for as long as we can. As soon as that Suki ult's running low, I'm going to hit him with a shell to once again keep him alive as I pull this Cucullin off of him and pop my team a Heavenly Agility so that we can chase this coup and hopefully grab that kill. Looks like the Xing Tian is going to get some good peel off, but hopefully between my root and my 2, that should actually bring down that Cucullin. It's going to be so close. We are going to get that kill. Now that the Cthulhu's over here chasing my Janus, I'm going to pull him, try to stop that 2. Looks like he wants to dash into him pretty hard. I'm going to try to root back on the Janus. I just can't keep that boy alive this game, and now I'm going to go ahead. I was going to back it up, but now I actually see that I'm very close to level 17. And at level 17, I can rank up my Sentinel's Gift. Now, Sentinel's Gift, the go-to upgrade is always going to be Sentinel's Embrace. This is going to give your team a bunch of protections. It's wonderful. It's going to give me MP5, which helps a little bit with the mana problem. But another item that I do want you to keep in mind when you're playing supports is the other version of this upgrade. The Sentinel's Boon is a really, really good selfish upgrade. So if you're playing a more aggressive support, but you still have the Sentinel's gift. You didn't opt for like the War Flag or something. Just keep that Sentinel's boon in mind. That extra gold that you get helps you really finish up that build. That extra 3% health and mana sustain on assists on creeps is crazy good for like tanking Phoenixes and stuff. Your team kills a wave, you basically get like a full heal on a line. It's pretty nuts. But traditionally, we are gonna go that Sentinel's Embrace. And you can actually look at my MP5 right now and my HP5. I've got 51 MP5 and 31, or 51 HP5 and 31 MP5. So in these team fights, I'm always keeping an eye on my squishy's HP. More so than actually fighting the enemy, I'm trying to keep an eye on my squishies, particularly my damage dealers. This game, I've got a really close eye on my Huyi and my Suki. Although my Janus is dying a lot, I've got a feeling he's probably now not outputting as much damage for my team as the Huyi and the Suki are, so I've actually got them on my priority list right now. Gonna go ahead and root my boy, then follow up with the pull, and we actually should probably be able to do the Fire Giant right here. Gonna sit it down with a Sentry Ward and start up the fire for my team. So in these fights, I've got two jobs. I'm starting off the fight, hopefully setting up a kill, right? I wanna look for whoever is in front of us. It doesn't really matter if it's a tank or not. At this point in the game, we're gonna burn down everyone. So I'm looking for a target in front of me. I try to start off with the root on the target and then the pull. And then after that, I'm immediately looking back on my boys for peeling duty. So it's pretty much a first set of abilities that is being used as initiation. And then after the initiation, I'm strictly going back and peeling, once again, mostly for the Suki and the Huyi, because they seem to be doing the most damage. They seem to be carrying the hardest this game, so that's who I need to keep alive this game. We need to be a little bit careful right here. This is a bit far forward. We can start to back it out, and at this point, I can also back up and get my Prison if I need to. So I'm gonna use my 2 right there in my Huyi. That's gonna give him a lot of mitigations. They can ulti me, that is totally fine. I'm not even worried about it. Not even gonna waste any time on that. I don't mind standing in front and tanking all of these abilities for my team. The Gold Fury is up, so I'm gonna call for the Gold Fury. Get that on started up. So now that we're at the very end of the game, my 2, the damage portion of this ability is basically useless. But the mitigations and the protection reduction are really important. Cthulhu throws down his ulti, Janus is ulting out. I'm gonna throw down my protections onto my Huyi once again. Obviously can't plug the Cthulhu in his CC immunity. So I go to pluck the Xing Tian, sitting back with my team, trying to see if anybody's coming through right now. Xing Tian's a little bit by himself, trying to wait to see if he goes to jump away so I can follow up on the jump, but I'm actually gonna pluck him because he doesn't use his jump, and we're gonna get those kills. We've got the Fire Giant and a couple of K lead, so these are all good fights for us to be taking. I'm actually gonna reset this Gold Fury over my Huyi because with his sustain, he's gonna be better off tanking this than I am. Now we're gonna back it up, and we're gonna get ourselves that pretty win. They don't have that much auto attackers. They're not rocking a bunch of crit, so I don't need a spectral armor. There's nothing in particular right now that I really need. I can just do something a little bit more generic. So this is actually, you know what? Because we can just go something a little bit more generic, I wasn't going to actually buy it this game, so it's a little bit more selfish. But we don't need anything in particular. We don't really need a pestilence. We don't really need a spectral. We don't need like a witchblade or a sovereignty. So I'm actually going to go into Stone of Fel because it's a new item and it's really good in terms of selfish gameplay. This is going to give me good health, physical and magical protections, which is fantastic. All the stats we want to support. A little bit of magical power, which we don't care so much about on our support, but you know, we'll take it for us. The big thing is the passive on this. When you hit an enemy god with a basic attack, you gain a stack of foul.
Attack middle
This is going to give me 2% mitigation per stack, up to 3 stacks. And then once you get your third stack, it actually doubles and it becomes 12% mitigation. And then you get 20% CCR, and that effect lasts for 10 seconds. 12% mitigation is a lot of mitigation. This also pairs extremely well with Spirit Robe. Spirit Robe is going to give you that percent mitigation from the passive. If you combine that percent mitigation with this percent mitigation, you are going to be really, really hard to kill. Now, they were trying to defend the T2. This is definitely not advisable right now. So we're going to be able to get a huge fight off here. I'm looking for the Janus, potentially in the backline if I can root him. I couldn't reach the Janus, but I could reach the Shibalanka, who had gotten knocked up during all this. Throwing down a shell for my team, trying to keep my eyes out in the backline as best that I can. Now I'm going to run right up into the range of this Phoenix to make sure that I am tanking it if at all possible. My Suki is getting a little bit low, so my eye is on him, but we actually should be able to put this game away. Still tanking the Phoenix for my team. Now, you can also use the Khepri ulti on yourself if you absolutely need to. So most of the time, you're not going to want to use the Khepri ult on yourself. But in a situation like this, where I am tanking the Titan, I don't mind using the Khepri ulti on myself so that way I can tank it all the way through without having to reset it to my team and risk getting somebody like my Suki, who is really low in HP, killed right there. For the most part, you do want to be using that ultimate on a friendly target, preferably one of your carries, but at the end of the day, you are going to use it on yourselves sometimes, especially if it's like about to be right before a big objective and you're going to get picked. Maybe you screwed up in your positioning, it happens. Throw it down on yourself, try to get away. They're not going to want to kill the Khepri that has the ulti on him, and it might be able to help you get away, guys. And then, of course, we would have finished up with that Stone of Foul that game, would have stacked really well with our Pridvin. We didn't need any particular items for that last slot, though. Do keep in mind specific items that you might need. Contagion Pestilence for the anti-heal, depending on their damage types. Sovereignty Heartwood for the defenses, depending on their damage types. Witchblade Spectral Armor, maybe they got a lot of attack speed or a lot of crit or something. So always keep all those situational items in mind, and that is our Khepri support guide. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.